Hi. So today I wanted to make a video about INFPs and passive aggressiveness. Are we passive aggressive? A lot of literature online says that we are, but I say that we are not. So I wanted to briefly discuss my reason for saying we are not and why it can appear that we are sometimes. Here's the thing. What looks like passive aggressive behavior from an INFP is actually just us being confused. Because you have to remember, one of the main things about us is that we feel so many things that sometimes, actually most of the time, our feelings are overwhelming. So especially when we feel anger, we don't know what to do with that. So we kind of retreat to try and figure that out. And it can look like we're trying to avoid a person, but that's not really what it is usually. Like that person might think, oh, they're trying to teach me a lesson by avoiding me or whatever. No, it's just that we're confused about our own feelings. Okay, I want to get into it in a little more depth. So I'll explain, like what happens, first of all, when an INFP gets angry with someone. Usually, what happens is the INFP will, like most people, when they get angry, they kind of react and say whatever comes to their mind. They might talk back or tell the person off a little bit, like, why did you do that? And another INFP friend of mine said, when we get angry, it's basically like someone throwing a bunch of marshmallows at someone else. We don't, like, typically our anger is not very scary. I know people a lot of times laugh at me when I get angry, which is really annoying, but well, anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, so we will say what's on our mind. We're actually very direct when we get angry with an acquaintance. We'll say, like, why did you do that? I don't understand. That doesn't make sense and that hurt my feelings. Please don't do that. At least that's what I do. You gotta put it out there so it cannot happen again, right? Simple. So that's not passive aggressive. That's trying to take care of a situation. Squash it so you can move on. But things get different when it's someone who we really care about. Like if it's a close friend or someone who you've come to admire and they do something that hurts you as the INFP, if you feel hurt, when that happens to me, I get so confused. Like my brain can't handle it. It's like, why is this person who I like so much doing this thing that is making me angry? Like, does not compute. So I get really confused. I can't even lash out in anger. I don't say anything. I'm just like in shock, like frozen, like, what just happened? Why do I feel so angry right now at this person who I really like? Okay, so there's the initial confusion. The second thing that happens usually is retreating. And this is the part where it looks like we're trying to actively avoid the person to teach them a lesson or whatever. And that's not what that is at all. It's that we're trying to figure out why the person did what they did, and whether we're overreacting, can we trust our own feelings? We're just trying to figure things out. And the only way that an INFP can really figure out their own feelings is to be by themselves for a while. Like literally, sometimes I will go outside in my car and sit in the car for like hours, like a crazy person, just so I can think by myself. Or like when I had a roommate, I would sometimes shut my door and just say, I'm sorry, I can't talk to anybody right now. I need to think. And she completely got it. She was like, okay, Paula, I know you're in turtle mode right now. Because that's what we do when we feel weird things that we're not used to. We need to be alone for hours and just sit and think about it and figure it out. So that's what happens next, the withdrawal period. Then after that, usually I'm still angry, even though I think I've figured out why the person acted the way they did. and why it hurt my feelings, I'm usually still pretty upset about the whole thing. But that anger is also coming along with fear, because I really care about this person, and I'm afraid, so afraid, that if I talk to them about it, it's going to hurt them the same way it hurt me. So I want to talk about it. I need to talk about it. That's the logical thing to do, right? You have a problem with someone, you sit down with them, you talk it out, move on. But I'm so afraid of hurting them that I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to bring the subject up with them. So what usually happens for a weird INFP like myself, I'll see the person and I can't even talk to them. Like I just freeze like a deer in headlights every time I see them. And it's very, very awkward and very weird. So it's not passive aggressiveness. It's just this, I guess, or at least I get stuck in not knowing how to handle communicating really big feelings to someone else for fear of hurting them the way that we are hurt. Like this happened once with my best friend, and this was the first time that this had ever happened to me, because like I explained earlier, we're usually pretty direct about our feelings. But one of my best friends when I was I guess I was still a teenager or whatever, we'd gotten pretty close, but then one day she lost her temper with my other best friend, and I'm really protective of my other best friend because she's very sweet, and you know how you are with your besties, you gotta take up for them. This other one, she wasn't so sweet. She had like a huge attitude, and one day she went off on her. Oh, it made me so mad. But then I got confused, like, why am I mad at this person who I love? I know I love this person, but I also love this person. And so I called her. No, first, before I called her, for the next couple of days, we were around each other because we also worked together. We were around each other all day, and I couldn't talk to her. Like, she would ask me questions, and I would just answer her with one word. And it wasn't that I was trying to be mean. It was that I was so afraid if I started a conversation with her that I was going to yell at her, and I didn't want to hurt her. So all I did was respond with like one word answers. And she knew something was wrong. And she kept asking me what's wrong. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Just this weird, weak answer. And so finally, at the end of the day, I called her. I was like, can we please talk? And she was like, yes. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? You're being so weird. So I met her, and this was the craziest thing. I remember sitting down across from her, and she's like, okay, let's talk. And I nodded, and I just stared at her. Like, I would even open my mouth to start talking, to say what I want to say, and the words would not come out because I was so afraid of hurting her. So this just underscores my point that it's not passive aggressiveness when we get quiet with people or we seem to withdraw. It's that we're afraid of hurting people, at least with me. And it's probably similar for other INFPs. Because when we feel something, we feel it a lot. So when we feel pain, we feel it very intensely, and we don't want to inflict that kind of pain on someone else. So I just wanted to talk about that today. I hope that made some kind of sense. And if you're an INFP and you have a different experience, like if you are passive aggressive with people sometimes, can you please tell me about that? Because maybe there's something I'm missing in my own personality. Maybe I am a little bit passive aggressive and I just don't notice it. So if you have that experience, please do share it, and it might help me to figure some things out about my personality too. Alright, well, I hope you have a good day, and thank you for watching and putting up with this terrible lighting and horrible camera.